We're on.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thank you guys for coming. I know it's been a little hectic of a schedule for me to get this together, but thank you guys for showing up to me. This is for my psych and religion project. Here we have a future All-American in the track and NA for track, Mrs. Emma Timmermans, and a business professor at Hope International University, Mr. John Hoctor. Guys, thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
All right, so let me just, before I start the questions, let me just first give a little insight about what I've noticed here at Hope, obviously not coming from this area or the background. I've noticed that a lot of people here have a very strong foundation with God, and it's just something I'm not really used to seeing. And it's just one of those, it was just, I had no idea that everyone here had such a strong, belief in the Lord's work. And it's just one of those things that just really kind of shook me to the core a little bit. It's not really something I'm used to with the area that I'm from. So my first real question for the both of you is how long have you guys been going to church, essentially?
I grew up in the church,
Obviously.
so since I was little, I've been attending.
All right.
And I've been a suitcase churchgoer when I was a child. My mom took us to several different churches.
Okay.
But I went to Azusa Pacific, which is a Christian-based university, and that's where I found Jesus.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, wow. Well, I was going to say, this is for both of you. Was it a real priority of your parents to instill religion in your life, or did you eventually find it on your own?
Well, growing up, I just grew up going to church.
Okay.
But I found the Lord. I started my own relationship with Him, so to speak, in 9th grade, I would say.
Really?
In high school, I started having to make decisions on my own and start my own relationship with Him. It wasn't like God was, or not like my parents were forcing me to. I wanted a relationship.
Okay, yeah, because that makes sense. A lot of times the parents are normally forcing on the child, on a kid.
Yeah.
So
I decided it.
So essentially, you found it by yourself. You weren't complete. Your parents believed in it, but they let you find it on your own.
Right. Yeah.
John,
And with me, I was baptized Catholic.
Really?
But we didn't really attend. And then like I said, my mother was the one that was trying to find a church for us.
Really?
When that's what I remember as a child. But it wasn't until high school, college, where I realized the true meaning of all this, and where I started with a relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an enlightened decision, I would say.
Well, all right. Well, I'm actually going to bring up, I don't have the studies with me, of course, but I've read a few stuff. But there's been some psychological studies and some theological studies on people that believing of certain people, not necessarily atheists, but more just people believing that bringing up a child in a religious background is essentially a form of brainwashing. And it's essentially pretty much them thinking that you're molding a child to these certain beliefs. And I just want to get either of your points on that, because it's something that people believe is one of the reasons why people turn their backs on God, because they believe it's a form of brainwashing.
That's a good question. I would say that it's good to raise a child in a good environment and to show them truth and lead by example. That's what my parents did. And then seeing what they had and others around me, I really wanted that too. So I just had to step out and make my own decision. But it comes to a point where the parents need to let their child choose on their own.
Okay.
You know?
And I guess with the critics, you can say that every child is pliable and malleable because their prefrontal cortex hasn't been developed.
Exactly.
So no matter what you do with them, so should you just keep them in a sterile environment until they become of age, which is usually in their mid to late 20s?
Which is
and then they can do something? No,
Yes,
you can't
exactly.
do that.
Exactly.
And I do believe that as you know, because you get to study religions in college, you get a minor in religion, as I did. I learned about all religions. Mm-hmm. And there's good points in all religions, and there can be bad points in all religions. There is the perfect setting is what you find, what you described. It's the one that works. And the best example I can give you is one of the smartest minds in the last 100 years, C.S. Lewis. It took him a while to figure it out, but he figured it out.
Yeah,
Definitely.
That's a good example for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Well, since this is a little bit off topic, but something I want to get my opinion on. since all three of us here are athletes, how exactly does your faith influence your athletic ability? Because this is something that like I've been like trying to figure out myself.
Oh, that's really good. I mean, that's why I run. God has given me this ability to run and to do mountain biking and compete, and so I give him the glory for it, and he's blessed me the whole way. There's never been a time where I'm like unsure of why I'm doing it. It's always been for his glory, and I've done a lot of I've had a lot of ministry opportunities through it all with other athletes to be able to show them Christ, and a lot have come to Christ too through it.
Really?
So it's like ministry, but also I love doing it.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
yeah,
Really awesome.
I think athletic competition, whether it's individual or a team, there's moments in that, as in the art world, as in academia, that you find moments of joy. It's that perfect, you had a perfect run. You had a perfect trail that you went on, and you experience this joy. Maybe nobody else sees it, but a lot of in athletics, we do see it when we witness it. And I think it's that glimpse of perfect joy that is what God's reward is when we get to heaven.
Right.
I think it's that.
Wow.
From what I've seen and what I've witnessed in my lifetime, it's those moments in your life where you see perfect joy, and we see it in competition. It's that in basketball, that last second shot. It's just a miracle.
Wow.
And the sheer joy of the team. And even if it's done right, the competition realizes that moment.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. Well, this is more of a question for you, Emma, since you're obviously of the younger generation. When you ever plan to have children, do you plan to involve them in your faith just like your parents did, or would you let them decide on their own?
absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna let them see a godly group, and that would probably be in a church and whatnot. But and then also let them decide when they start to develop too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
John, did you kind of do the same thing when you had
The best advice I heard for raising kids is to have them find a godly leader in their life. And it may not be a parent, like I didn't have that, but I did end up finding one. And finding that godly leader, somebody that they could look to, is so important.
Wow.
And with my kids, they're both college age, they're both in college. We did that. We kind of gave them the foundation. We tried to be the example.
Yeah.
And it's weird, they went off on their own, independently as they became adults. But guess what? They see the world as I see it, pretty much, more or less, but it's just through their fresh eyes.
Wow. Wow. That makes sense. So, do either of you guys believe that just the children of the faith in Jesus Christ, will they essentially make the world a better place? Because obviously children have such of an innocence without them. Do you believe that, do you believe that people of faith, like a world that is just followers of Christ, do you believe that will just make the world a better place in the future, coming into the future? Since with the influence of technology, the influence of so much, you turn on the news, you see just bad things all the time influencing everyone. So do you believe that do you just believe that children of faith growing up will make this world a better place?
Yeah. I mean, the world's just going to keep getting darker. Revelation talks a lot deeply about that, but as the world gets darker, the light is going to start to shine more, and people are going to see that difference in the light of Jesus. So I think it could definitely make a difference for sure. The people growing up right now.
And as far as younger generation, it always relies on hope and love. The answer to heaven is love, and that's what Jesus gave us. If he was a baseball player, he gets the save.
Oh yeah.
We're here. We have to hope. We have to pray. We have to follow, and we have to lead others the way Jesus would have been because he's here amongst us.
Right.
He wants us to lead.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, this is a final send out for both of you. And how has a religious childhood and a religious upbringing made you both better people? Take your time.
I always get like weird about the word religious because yeah,
just a faith-based, just a
faith-based
upbringing. Because I certainly didn't really have that.
I think my foundation in Christ is solid, and just knowing that I'm safe with Him, and that I have this like love relationship with Him, and that He holds me in His hand. It's just the most comforting thing, and I know like He's gonna take care of me throughout my life as long as I obey Him and follow His laws.
Wow.
So just having that comfort, knowing He's always there, is like it's pretty rad.
Wow.
I would say, but then also sharing that love with others too, because
Wow.
I see a lot of just people, they don't know where they're going in life, and I just want them to, have that same like foundation.
Wow.
Too.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. That's beautiful, John. Anyway.
I get
That
jealous
makes
of my,
sense?
it does. I get jealous of my wife's background. She grew up going to Christian school for grade school and everything else, and she was given a foundation that I didn't experience.
Yeah.
I was given breadcrumbs, but I did get to see God's miracles in my lifetime. I've seen them firsthand, and so I had enough knowledge to know it when I saw it, but I think that helps with leading others to it.
Really?
If you had the perfect background, there was no disciple with a perfect background.
Oh yeah. No, everybody's flawed. Everybody has their own
Yeah.
state that they have to deal with.
Yeah, and I'm
Everybody-
not saying like life's perfect for me.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
obviously,
didn't want to come,
obviously.
but just having that like foundation, knowing God's there, it's just really comforting to
Really?
have that in life.
Really, that makes sense. Both of you guys brought up foundations and how your faith has just been so adamant in your lives, and it's definitely opened my eyes a little bit more.